My name is John Crichton.
My name is John Crichton. My name is John Crichton. Look upward and share the wonders I've seen.
Come on, shoot me! Right here! Go! Here, John Wayne Bobbitt, the Anna Boy Squire.
You're insane!
My sex slave! Kill my sex slave! Now! Quick, shoot! Just shoot me!
Hello, and welcome to episode number 10. Yes, we finally did it. Episode 10 of the ScapeCast, your guide to the wonders of Farscape. I'm your co-host, Kevin Batchelder.
And I'm Lindy Ray, and I'm back from my travels around pretty much the whole Pacific coast, from the south part of California all the way to Vancouver and the south part of Alaska to Juneau. And I'm happy to be home.
See, Lindy will go anywhere for Farscape content.
Well, yeah, some of it was Farscape content, but some of it was, vacation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Need a little vacation.
Well, we'll help out her vacation a bit here. What we're going to have on this episode of the ScapeCast.
We have part 3, which is the conclusion of our Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series. You know, the one with the dolphins singing that song.
We're also, since we're concluding that series, we're going to have part 1 of our season 1 character review of a certain leading man from the show.
Really? Does he have blue eyes and is he really cute?
You're asking the wrong person for that kind of a description.
Okay. We'll also have our regular features like trivia, news, and the question of the week.
And also, we have a special interview for you. It's with Lieutenant Bracca, David Franklin.
This show's spoiler level is
Peacekeeper Wars.
Kevin, I have to tell you, I had so much fun at Timeless Destinations. It was, first of all, it was really great to see our fellow Scapecasters, Nicola and Sammy, in person. We had a lot of fun together, and we just clicked, and it was like we could still finish each other's sentences, even though we spend most of our time getting to know each other over the internet. But it's really neat to meet other Scapers. We met a lot of other fans there too of Farscape, which was always nice.
Oh yeah, that's always great when you really get a chance to see him in person.
Yeah, and there's really a lot of fans out there, and it's nice to see them all in one place and talk to them, and we had a lot of fun. Yeah.
I love, the cons, and the chance to meet other fans and such is always great.
One of the greatest things that happened at Timeless Destinations is we got to meet a lot of actors in Sci-Fi, and they were really happy to talk to us. So we're actually going to put together a separate podcast with interviews from all kinds of characters that you've seen from other shows that you love.
Lindy, did you also get a chance to talk to some Scapers?
Yes, we did. We talked to a lot of Scapers. We talked to fans. I had breakfast with a group of Scapers both days, which was very refreshing since at Comic-Con we didn't even have a moment to eat. But here it was much more relaxed atmosphere, so we had some nice conversations talking about the good wishes we have for our actor friends of Farscape and how we can't wait to see them in other things and what we'd like to see for our next Farscape.
Oh, it sounds like cool. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, it was really neat.
We interrupt this program for a special news report. Coming to you live, Hermie the Hynerian, our special investigative reporter.
So yeah, my agent was telling me that the real estate market on the Scaran homeworld is really quite hot right now. Oh, hi-ho, this is Hermie the Hynerian here, coming to you with late breaking news. We are on the location where the Dread Pirate Ema's treasure has disappeared. Dread Pirate E, would you like to tell us what happened?
Arrgh! I be missing my treasure. It was stowed safely away from prying fingers, and someone, was it you? Snurched it.
Snurched it?
Snurched it. Arrgh!
So, tell me, Dread Pirate E, what exactly is your treasure, and what do you mean by snurched?
What do I mean by snurched? I mean swiped, filched, nicked, taken without my permission. Some frelling wellnet snurched my treasure.
Oh, you mean stolen.
Arrgh! Oh, well, if you want to be mundane about it, sure, stolen.
Could you give us details of the heist?
Well, I was just walking down the street, and all of a sudden, shiver me timbers, it was gone.
What do you mean all of a sudden?
Well, I had my arm wrapped around it, and I was minding my own business. Then one end of my treasure was grabbed, and then gone. I saw it floating away.
Did you see who took it?
I think so. It was that floating little green guy. I don't know what he would want with my blankie.
Wait a minute, you mean all of this is for a blankie?
Hey! Treasure is in the eye of the beholder. And how would you like it if someone snatched your microphone, like now?
Give it back! Give it back! Hey! This is Hermie the Hynerian reporting live from the Uncharted Territory Street, where Ema is still looking for her blankie. Wait! Look! Apparently the authorities have captured the perpetrator. Excuse me, sir. Do you have anything to say in your defense?
Snatch? I don't snatch. I procure.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned for more news on this station.
I hope he ends up on the Hammond side of Hesmana.
But you said he wasn't on board.
Thank you, Hermie. That concludes our special report. We return now to your regular program.
There are no limits to how far we'll go for a good laugh and 12 talk.
I guess we won't.
And now it's time for your Farscape trivia question. I'm going to play a line from a scene, and I want you to guess what the next line is going to be.
Nice pants.
Check back later in the show for the answer. For the ScapeCast, I'm Brent Barrett.
Hi, I'm Gigi Edgley, and you're listening to the ScapeCast, your guide to the wonders of Farscape.
And now we have the final part of our Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy article entitled The Whole General Uncharted Mishmash, Part 3, and it's written by Kelly Morris.
John Crichton. John would have us believe one is not the other.
I am not Kirk, Spock, Luke, Buck, Flash, or Arthur Frellington.
We've been wondering if that's the case, wondering if John Crichton can really say he is not Arthur Dent, protagonist of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So far, we've examined their universes and found the same ideas: absurdity, randomness, cruelty, and an incomprehensible vastness. In Part 2, we looked at how life was lived in those universes, and once again found the same ideas: instinct and acceptance. Things don't look good for John, but maybe we can find some hope for him as we look at Arthur Dent and John Crichton. First, the superficial, beginning with the most obvious. Both happen to be one thing: a man.
An Earthman, to be precise, who no more knows his destiny than a tea leaf knows the history of the East India Company.
Arthur and John are both ape-descendant residents of the small, inconsequential, backward planet Earth, unexpectedly sent into the deepest, darkest reaches of the galaxy. There they meet a host of aliens, mostly threatening, and engage in dangerous adventures. Crichton and Dent and innumerable other characters. We're going to need something more. Neither Arthur nor John are particularly brash adventurers, though. Unlike so many other characters, they're both very common. Wait, some might say. John Crichton? Astronaut? Scientist? Arthur Dent may be common, but Crichton? He's an astronaut. And it's true. John does have a pretty extraordinary job. But a man, even an Uman, is more than just a job.
Southern metaphors, darling. Can I get a hell yeah? Kung Fu.
And I do miss my 62 T-Bird.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Just drink the beer.
Three Stooges.
God, milk. The worst part was the complete and utter lack of toilet paper. I am an American.
John constantly gives himself away in his reactions, attitudes, and constant references. He may be an astronaut, but he's also just a southern boy who likes pizza, cold beer, fast cars, girls, and TV, as common as the rest of us. But they're different sides of the common man coin. Arthur is almost a nightmare of the common man. Dull, passive, uncomprehending, unimaginative, and ungifted. Crichton is perhaps the ideal of the common man. Loyal, clever, intrepid, eager to learn, useful. Most importantly, John is active. He does things to try to change his situation. Arthur is continually a passenger in his own life. Why?
I'm reminded at this point of a word that you actually brought to this vessel. Hope.
Here's the key difference. John left Earth and he can go back, if he finds a way. But unfortunately for Arthur, Earth left him. It was blown up under his feet. The hope of returning to Earth drives John, but Arthur has nothing to drive him.
I left you the party. I feel bad about it, but I was going to call you when I got back.
Well, there is no going back now, is there?
John has a drive, a purpose, and a goal, and it causes him to take charge and try to change his lot in life. As a result, he himself is changed. Arthur was left with almost nothing, a bathrobe, a towel, and a radically altered lifestyle. But he had no real reason to try to change his lot. What did he have to look forward to? Eventually, both John and Arthur get a chance to return home to Earth. Arthur's return involves some tricky dimensional play by the dolphins, Earth's second most intelligent species, right above humans, and of course coincidence. When he returns, he couldn't be happier. John's return should have made him happy too, but sadly...
Things have changed.
Hi, Caroline.
Hey, Jack.
Come on in. Merry Christmas.
And we don't get to close our eyes and pretend they haven't. And everyone is telling me how different I am. They're right, but they don't have a clue why.
John returns as a changed man to a changed Earth. Though he's taken action, the actions he's taken have made him an alien in his own home. Earth has changed too, at least from John's perspective, becoming more insular and paranoid. His arrival was noticed, and all sorts of circuses built up around him. Furthermore, there are things in the galaxy he needs to do, so he leaves. No one ever expects Arthur to do anything, and his arrival on Earth goes unnoticed. His leaving Earth in the first place goes unnoticed, and he gets by telling everyone he was in Southern California. He eases back into his life as though he never left it. But he had, and even he comes back changed, at least a little. The night of his arrival, Arthur stands outside his house and feels. He manages to feel over miles and miles, sensing two others who know something is wrong with the Earth. Arthur's the only one who knows why. Eventually, Arthur leaves Earth as well, but neither of them necessarily left for duty.
The Encyclopedia Galactica, in its chapter on love, states that it is far too complicated to define. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy has this to say on the subject of love. Avoid, if at all possible.
It turns out to not be possible for either Arthur nor John. Erin is, obviously, the love of John's life. She's an alien, and when John leaves Earth, it has as much to do with embracing a life with Erin as it does about embracing his duty to the galaxy. Arthur doesn't find love out in the galaxy. In the novels, Trillian doesn't seem too interested in him, and he likewise. Instead, he finds it at home, in a woman named Fenchurch. Seconds before the original Earth was demolished, Fenchurch had a revelation. But when the dolphins recovered Earth, Fenchurch lost that revelation. She knows this Earth is somehow wrong, and Arthur leaves Earth again to help her understand what is wrong and why. Erin and Fenchurch seem very different, yet they both have extraordinary souls that make them somehow special and draw John and Arthur to them. Both receive their opposite from the men. John brings Earth to Erin's space, and Arthur brings space to Fenchurch's Earth. Most importantly, they're very important to our heroes, inspiring them to do good things and be better people. To see how important, we only need to look at what happens when they're gone. Each time John loses Erin, he has one of two reactions. Either he attempts something heroic, if ill-advised.
Help me get her, and I will give you wormholes.
Or he gets depressed and gives up.
Erin's gone. Want to die.
Fenchurch vanishes from Arthur's life, literally. She's the victim of a hyperspace accident and simply is gone with no record of her existence, except Arthur's memories. And he likewise gets depressed and resumes his same anchorless, rudderless wanderings. So in the end, is John Crichton right in saying he's not Arthur Dent? He certainly cuts a more heroic figure, taking action when necessary, and changing as a result. Of course, John has a few things Arthur doesn't, namely hope. So perhaps in the end, they're the same man, on different probability access points?
This is how it's all going to end, is it? Hey, me, alone on a dead planet with a manically depressed robot.
You think you've got problems? What are you supposed to do if you are a manically depressed robot?
We all know, or will soon see, how the tale of John Crichton comes to a close. The last few pages of Mostly Harmless, the final book of the Hitchhiker's trilogy, see the Earth and all possible Earths demolished, along with the entire main cast, save Zaphod. Adams later confessed he would have liked to have given Hitchhikers a more upbeat ending, but in May of 2001, Douglas Adams died of a heart attack. His screenplay for the film version of Hitchhikers unfinished, and a sixth installment unstarted. The 2004 radio production of Mostly Harmless used some of Adam's notions to create the ending he perhaps might have preferred. Seconds before the final demolition of Earth, the cast is whisked off to the restaurant at the end of the universe, where they are reunited with Zaphod, Marvin, and Fenchurch. From Fenchurch's perspective, Arthur had been the one who vanished, and she came to Milloway's hoping he would eventually arrive there. Marvin takes the crew past the restaurant's parking lot, where they find an endless stretch of blue lagoons, the final destination of Earth's dolphins. At the end of Crichton's journey, he speaks with confidence, showing his son the galaxy and announcing,
"This is your playground."
Arthur, ever uncertain, has a question at the end. "Fly with me, Fenchurch?" Arthur asks. "Always," is her answer. For the ScapeCast, I'm Kimberly Thompson.
She didn't seem to think that there was a lot of Arthur and John, but, I really do think that there is a lot of Arthur Frelling Dent in John Frelling Crichton.
I'm Wendy Hembrock with the news. Creation Entertainment has more Farscape items up on eBay. Apparently that props and costumes closet is deeper than the abyss around Pilot's Den. Items up for auction include Zan's blue caftan and leotard, a Crichton outfit from the episode Coup by Clam, the barbecue outfit worn by Scorpius playing Jack Crichton in Unrealized Realities, and Aaron's black tank top from the Peacekeeper Wars. Accessories like Aaron's leg holster and belt, and Dargo's hand and forearm gauntlets are also up for auction, plus many more items. Stargate SG-1, starring Ben Browder and Claudia Black, celebrated its 200th episode and featured a nod to Farscape when the Vala character pitches a show to a Hollywood movie producer as a parody of Farscape.
Piece of advice. If you're going to rip something off, think of something a little more obscure.
Oh, okay. Call me Farbot, but they're gonna have our move-ons on a platter if we don't. Starburst the drives out of here.
House has been damaged. We're not going anywhere.
Oh, Dren.
Asmala!
Pharrell.
Oh, son of a hazmat!
Shots!
Okay, you got me. I have no idea what that is.
In interviews leading up to the episode, titled simply 200, producer Joe Malazzi said his favorite part was the Farscape parody. The original script had Ben playing Crichton and Michael Shanks playing Stark, but the actors requested they switch, which was even funnier. In an interview with Ben Browder about the 200th episode, he joked that he'll be writing an episode for season 11 of SG-1 about his lost Blanky. In another interview, Martin Giro, writer for both SG-1 and Atlantis, said that Ben provided the story idea for an episode that Giro will write for season 10 called Bad Guys. The Jim Henson Company has a podcast. There are 2 episodes currently out. Both episodes feature exclusive interviews recorded in July at the 20th anniversary screening of Labyrinth. Brian Henson's Puppet Improv has been a big hit at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. Brian Henson said puppets are part of a new trend and have never been more popular. In fact, there were more puppet shows for adults than for kids at the Fringe Festival. He also said his father would love the naughty humor. The University of Maryland College of Arts and Humanities is offering a fall semester on comedy and humor. One of the featured panels will be a discussion of Jim Henson and puppetry. On September 22nd, a symposium will be held on Jim Henson and puppetry, featuring puppet performances and a panel discussion with Jim Henson's wife, Jane. Send your Scaper birthday greetings out to Rebecca Riggs on September 7th and wish Commandant Cleavage a happy birthday. And now for the convention report. Anthony Simcoe has been added to the list of guests for the Farscape Burbank Convention in November. Virginia Hay will appear at DragonCon in Atlanta, Georgia, September 1st through the 4th. Also look for ScapeCast members Kurt and Kevin at the podcasting panel, and keep your fingers crossed. The Parsec Awards, for which the ScapeCast has been nominated, will also be announced at this convention. Gigi Edgley will be appearing at Star Fury, the Firefly convention, also called Serenity 3, in Heathrow, London, England, September 15th through the 17th. And finally, on the heels of celebrating the 200th episode of Stargate SG-1 and its record-breaking 10th season, the Sci-Fi Channel announced that having achieved so much success as a worldwide phenomena, it will not renew the show for an 11th season. And that's the news. I'm Wendy Hembrock for the ScapeCast.
So Kevin, I don't know if you did, but like many other Scapers, I watched the Stargate episode 200 last week because I knew there was going to be some references to Farscape on it. I really liked the segment that they did on Farscape, and all I can say is that the writers of Stargate must be faithful listeners to the ScapeCast, because if you noticed, the entire segment was devoted to Tralk Talk words. So what did you think?
Yeah, I did find that very funny. I'm not a regular Stargate watcher, so once I saw what this episode was going to be, naturally I did have to watch it. So I got a good laugh. It's funny. I thought the exact same thing as I saw that segment. I had it recorded, so I played it back again and realized that the Tralk Talk alignment to our show came to mind to me. Like, oh, great, there we go. We got a whole set of things right there. So it was still very humorous and enjoyable to see all the references to other sci-fi shows too. So it was fun.
I thought that Ben Browder did a great James T. Kirk.
Hi, this is Sandra from Brisbane, Australia. I just wanted to stop in and say that I really love listening to the ScapeCast.
Attention! There are opportunities all around you. Opportunities to help spread the Scaper word around the world. The ScapeCast Beacon, a call to all Scapers to mobilize. Looking for Farscape fans in your area? The John and Aaron site maintains a list of several regional Scaper groups. Check the list to see if your area is represented. If not, start your own group. With the recent announcement that the Sci-Fi Channel has decided not to renew Stargate SG-1, you may be looking for ways to show your support for Ben and Claudia. Fans have posted methods for sending your support. Check the show notes for more details. Remember to send in your calls to action or fan-based events to the ScapeCast, and we'll announce them here on the Beacon. Check our show notes for more information. This has been the ScapeCast Beacon, a call to all Scapers to mobilize.
David Franklin, Captain Bracker.
Hi, I'm Sammy from the ScapeCast, and I'm here with David Franklin.
I'm David Franklin. Hello, everybody.
So let's start off. You played...
I played Captain Bracker.
Captain
Bracker, who started off as a lowly lieutenant and worked his way up.
So, how did you audition for Bracker?
Well, I didn't actually audition. I just went in and had a talk to Andrew Prowse the day before.
And that's it?
Yeah.
And you got the job?
Got the job, didn't know what I was doing, and somehow managed to survive for 4 seasons. I only went in for like 1 or 2 episodes.
So you didn't know you were going to be back for 4 seasons?
No idea. Absolutely no idea. And I remember, I think, must have been in season 2, because I kept getting booked, like, episode by episode. So I thought, oh, this is it. I'm over now. I'm going to get vaporized. And then one day this guy came up to me and said, hey, I really love what you're doing. It's great. Thank you. And he said, I got plans for you. Oh, thank you. And it was David Kemper. I didn't know who he was.
What plans did he have for you? Anything we didn't get to see?
Yes, well, we didn't get to season 5, did we?
No, okay. Well, let's not talk about that. That's a completely different story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But if there was a season 5, would there have been... no, I have to ask.
It's a woman's prerogative to change her mind.
I mean, you got from lieutenant to captain, so would there have been, like, commander Bracker at some point?
Well, I think that was just one step on the way to...
Oh, to what? World domination?
Universal domination.
Universal. Oh,
so you've got to think more than globally.
Oh yeah, right. We're in sci-fi.
Yeah. You may act locally, but you always think more than globally.
Yeah. So
it's a big world out there.
The world.
It's a big exactly. It's a big universe out there.
Yeah. So you not only played Bracker, you have fantasy experience. Talk a little bit about that.
About my fantasies. I don't know.
No, not you.
I mean, it's...
Don't make me laugh. You know, this guy is nuts.
How dare you? My fantasies. I'm not quite ready to. I mean, it's very... Well, let's see. I'm on a deserted island. No.
Then, you want me to say it? Let's talk about Xena.
Xena Warrior Princess.
Yeah.
That was fun show to do. I played Brutus in that. Mm-hmm. Now, I did history at school. I went to school. I am reasonably...
You went to school?
Yes, I do have somewhat of an education. Something of an education. But I didn't do... We would say in my country, you would say 3-unit history. We'd say I didn't major in history. So I didn't realise that Xena was actually involved in the Roman Republic. Did you know that? No.
She's a historical figure?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I thought they made it up in the show.
No, because she was there, because that's what the script said. She helped.
That's what the script said, but what does history say?
The scripts are true. It's true, Sammy.
Okay, so everything on television is true.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not starting...
I never said I was bride, did I? I never made that claim.
No, I never said you were not, so...
It's very diplomatic.
Talk about Brutus.
What would you like to know?
Talk about the outfit.
Oh, the outfit.
Did they actually model the outfit for you, or did they just give you something and say...
No, they did. They did make it. The first time it was a gladiator... what do you call it? You know, the body...
Chest piece.
Yeah, chest piece. And they made that out of leather initially. I don't know how they did it. They're trained professionals.
Heavy, right?
The first one wasn't.
The first one?
Because I got killed. I did a couple of episodes, got killed. But then they loved me and brought me back and then killed me again. I think a lot of people wanted to kill me more than once. But that outfit was the world's heaviest metal. I don't know what the hell world's heaviest metal is. What is the world's heaviest metal? Is there anything heavier than lead?
I don't know.
It was heavier than lead, I'm telling you. If I was on my back, I couldn't get up.
That heavy?
Yeah, it was seriously heavy.
Wow.
It was serious. I could roll over, I guess, but I wanted to have some semblance of dignity. So I would just lie there.
Yeah. So that was the outfit you were wearing where they dragged you behind the horse?
No, the first one was the made from leather. The second one was, I remember doing all this big battle stuff with Renee. I think that was the second outfit. I just remember as soon as I was over. I was down.
You were dead.
Well, I wasn't dead, but I was down. I wasn't getting up. But it would look pretty snazzy. It was very...
Yeah, I've seen it.
And the good thing was, you didn't have to go to the gym. You look good.
Did he make you look
Yeah,
good?
they give you all the definition.
Well, not that you need to go to the gym.
Oh, yeah.
You just have to say it in front of people
smooth.
because they can't see you.
I'm blushing.
So, what are you doing now?
I'm living in Los Angeles and going out looking for work. Schlepping around to... Well, I'm sure there is. I just don't know what it is. Hang on. I'll rephrase that. It's a surprise.
Oh, it's a surprise.
To everyone. My manager, she'll let you guys know. Oh, what is the web page? PeachtreeServices.net.
You want to spell that out?
It's PeachtreeServices.net. N-E-T.
Perfect.
It's like being in a spelling bee.
Yeah.
Putting actors. I can't even put two words together. See, the more I speak, the more I put actors.
Yeah, and the more you mess up
back.
the punchline.
Yeah. Oh, this is a sad story. It was quite a funny. I'm not even going to tell the story this time. There was quite a funny incident that happened on set once, and it's a good story, so I tell it often. But I've told it 1,000 times, and Sammy asked me yesterday. I was doing a panel about the story, and I gave the punchline away at the beginning of the.
Yeah.
And she looked at me and she said, "Are they even?" No, I'm sorry, I got the punchline. What an idiot. She said, "Are they evil?" I said, "Evil?" I thought evil. She said, "Yes, they're malevolent." And she said, "My tits, are they even?" Had her punchline. I'm doing my stand-up comedy workshop in the next 2 weeks.
I was embarrassed. Truly. I was serious, I wasn't joking, embarrassed. So lesson number 1, don't give away the punchline when you're telling a gag. What else would you like to know?
What else
that I'm prepared to tell?
Did you have any other wardrobe malfunctions?
There was a time when, later in the series, where there was a flashback episode, or I don't know if it was a whole episode, but there was certainly a flashback, and it went from when, in my character's arc, he was no longer a captain, but a lieutenant. And that meant that as a lieutenant, Bracca was in a lieutenant's uniform, and that uniform that I had, which I hated with a passion, because it was skin tight. It had to be double-sided taped into it. Yeah, it was funny the first time, so they rip it off of an evening. You got free waxing. That was very unpleasant, and wasn't able to move in it. So that stillness became a character trait of Captain Bracker's.
Is that the one where you look like a sausage?
That episode, yeah.
Those were your words.
Yes, they were my words.
Yes.
Because what happened was that I let myself go when the character was promoted and didn't go to the gym quite so often, and let myself relax a bit. And when they put the outfit back on again, when we were shooting, we didn't put it on during wardrobe, but we were shooting and I couldn't get the belt on at all. And it wasn't like, hold your breath in, we'll get the belt on. It was like, quick, get the people from wardrobe. And it was the specialised people that do all the leather stuff and everything. And they grabbed them, got them onto the set, and they had to unglue what was left of my belt and try and get it straight out to get in. And they got it in. I couldn't breathe and I looked like a sausage. It was not one of my happiest. And the cast and the crew, they thought it was hysterical.
Did they take pictures?
Yeah, they thought it was. Yeah, they're not a very generous bunch of people. No.
Good to see you. You're the reinforcements?
No, we're the band. Looks like Kiss was your opening act.
Well, I'm in the wrong band.
Hello, I'm Wichita Rutherford from 5 Minutes with Wichita, and I'm here to tell you about the Podcast 411 podcast. Now, Rob, he interviews other podcasters to find out what they've learned about doing a podcast, and it's been described as inside the actor's studio, except it's for podcasts. His past guests include Adam Curry, he's the Podfather, Senator John Edwards, C.C. Chapman, PK&J, Bebanyaz, Chris Rockwell, and yours truly, Wichita Rutherford. That's just naming a few of them. Now, if you want to learn more about podcasting or podcasters, then you go over and visit them at podcast411.com. And remember, listen different with Podcast 411. It's just so precious.
Our next segment is part 1 of the Season 1 John character review. And it's got a nice title here. Let me give it to you, folks. It's entitled The Hero Next Door, or How John Crichton Stopped Worrying and Learned to Love Leather, Wormholes, and Imaginary Friends. And it's written by our very own Wendy Hembrock.
Once upon a time, there was a boy named John. One day, when John was out doing astronaut things, a big blue wormhole gobbled him up and spat him out at the far end of the universe. Things were looking grim in Mudville, till our hero met the amazing living ship, made some nice new friends, and he hooked up with his dream girl. We could have lived happily ever after, but the peacekeepers raped, chased, and tortured us for years on end.
Joseph Campbell, the mythology scholar, wrote that the hero has 1,000 faces. One of those faces is that of John Crichton. Campbell's study of mythologies found across all human cultures uncovered a pattern of common story structures that resonate regardless of culture. He called this pattern the monomyth, and it serves like a map of common story threads found in all of these myths. The hero's journey is one such myth. The protagonist departs from home, faces many trials and tests to initiate and raise him or herself up to a higher level of consciousness by performing a daring deed. Once achieved, the protagonist makes the return home with a boon or sacred knowledge, and is free. The hero's journey is both an external journey and an internal psychological one that covers 3 major stages: departure, initiation, and return. The departure or separation stage includes 5 acts. First, the call to adventure, refusal of the call, supernatural aid, crossing the first threshold, and finally the belly of the whale. The meta-story or larger story of John Crichton in early Farscape is largely about the departure stage. In the departure, the protagonist is separated from the known and goes off somewhere else into the unknown. In Crichton's case, the departure steps happen a lot. Let's see how the patterns of the monomyth play out for John Crichton in Season 1. We begin at the first point of departure, the current homeworld. Here we learn who the protagonist is, his flaws, and the people who form the village mentality that the hero will leave behind. This, the old world, reflects the psychological center of the hero and his current state of development. For John Crichton, we begin on the Earth, with his father Jack, his friend DK, and his colleagues. In this homeworld, we learn Crichton's father is considered a real hero, a brave astronaut who went to the depths of space and returned. Crichton is not his father, and claims no aspiration to be him. We also learn that Crichton is already in the middle of a Vision Quest story.
Son, I can't help being who I am, who I was.
It's not who you are, Dad. I love who you are. It's being son of who you are. Look, I can't be your kind of hero.
No, you can't be. But each man gets a chance to be his own kind of hero. Your time will come, and when it does, watch out. Chances are it'll be the last thing you ever expected.
After establishing the homeworld, the hero is minding his own business when the protagonist gets the call to adventure. There are two kinds of calls to adventure, intentional and unintentional. Both lead to the same path, though. You leave the world you know, go someplace far away, find what was missing in your consciousness by performing a deed, and return home, or find a new home, changed by the experience. Crichton is an accomplished scientist about to test his grand theory. He willingly leaves Earth for a day trip with his trusty tape recorder to gather his data. He's ready for that call to adventure. This type of call is the Find Your Father quest. The Find Your Father quest is a major myth for young people, since it's an allegory for finding your true nature, your career, your source. John Crichton is already on this journey when we meet him. The other call to adventure is the unintentional one. The hero is thrown into the adventure unwillingly, sometimes due to a blunder, and finds himself in a transformational realm, an unsuspected world that is not understood. This is the adventure the hero is not ready to make.
I must have come here through a wormhole. I must have come here through a wormhole. Yeah. So if I did come here through a wormhole, the only way I'm going to get back is to find another wormhole. Or to create one. Yeah. Right.
In Farscape, the wormhole that gobbles up Crichton and spits him out on the other side of the universe is the second kind of call. As metaphors go, the wormhole is about as deeply psychological as one can get. Sent through the black void of space and time, the elemental forces of the universe engulf him. The wormhole trip is just the first of many calls to new adventures once Crichton gets into the uncharted territories. Every alien and every world Crichton encounters in the interim are new kinds of call to adventure. But he now knows at least one deed he must perform in order to get back home. Find or make a wormhole. The physical deed is where the hero performs a courageous act in battle or saves lives. Grab the fleece, poke out the eye of the monster, find the grail. The spiritual deed that accompanies the quest is where the hero learns to experience the supernatural range of human spiritual life, and comes back home with that message. Once the protagonist figures out he's on the journey, he may refuse the call. The refusal of the call happens when the hero is unwilling to adapt, if he's not ready to face his fears. The protagonist may fear losing power, losing an ideal, or comfort. Usually the protagonist balks at confronting a fear which may be the greatest fear faced to date. This is important because, like all these moments in the hero's journey, it can be repeated and the stakes can keep going up as the protagonist is transformed. The first requirements of a heroic career are the knightly virtues of loyalty and commitment to the adventure, temperance and courage. In early Season 1, Crichton is in denial that he will have to adapt from his ideals to live in the uncharted territories. Crichton will not carry a weapon, though clearly he's in a place where he needs one. Crichton exhibits cowardly and selfish behavior. In Exodus from Genesis, he's scared of a bug, albeit a 3-foot huge bug that, let's be honest, is rather daunting. John expects the others to give him a break since he's new. They do not. He keeps trying each day to learn, but he gets dispirited and refuses to go on.
What's going on?
I'm getting some space, Aaron, and I'm not talking about the space outside the ship.
Look, this is hardly the time for human nonsense, Crichton.
Oh, God, that is it. You are so damn smart. There's no time for any stupid human anything. And I'm sick of it, Aaron. I'm sick of Napoleon the 14th. I'm sick of Blue. I'm sick of Titicle Boy. And guess what? I'm sick of you. I'm sick of this whole turd burp into the universe.
On his walkabout, Crichton sticks on a planet for about 3 months, content to stay on this new world, but still yearning for home.
Since I left my home, I've been hunted, beaten, locked up, shanghaied, shot at. I've had alien creatures in my face, up my nose, inside my brain, down my pants. This is the first time, first place, where I found peace.
Eventually, the protagonist must accept the call and move forward. By accepting the call with courage, the forces of the unconscious appear to help. Zan, the archetypal mother goddess, acts as a mentor and spiritual guide to Crichton for much of Season 1. Zan counsels him frequently. She tells him to win the respect of Aaron and Dargo, which he later does through acts of courage and aiding each of them with his scientific brain. In Back and Back and Back to the Future, Crichton turns to Zan to help him figure out if he's crazy or seeing the future. She later rescues him from Maldus by retreating from her goddess path and embracing a lesser evil to help save John. Zan counsels John repeatedly until they're lured to the Delvian colony and she taps into her darkest self and loses her own way. The fragmented crew was reunited by their search to find John in the Jeremiah Crichton episode. After that, John continues to have breakthroughs with Zan, Aaron, and Dargo as they take up symbolic archetypal relationships as helpers. The protagonist also gets aid from a mentor, who provides other supernatural aid. In Native American myths, this is the Spider Woman, or the fairy godmother of fairy tales. These inscrutable figures present a protecting power, providing guardianship and direction. The supernatural aid is sometimes an amulet, a tool, or training that will help the protagonist reach a higher aspect of the self. Usually the mentor, if a person, is an aspect of the protagonist at some future or advanced state. Often the mentor can only go so far with the protagonist, and then is gone, or returns later to give him a kick in the pants. The first threshold guardian for Crichton is his father, Jack. In the premiere, John's father gives him a ring, a supernatural aid. This ring was Jack's own boon or reward, from Yuri Gagarin. The ring serves as a touchstone and a symbol of John's worth. The ring is psychologically significant to Crichton because he has to transcend his father and the ring as a rite of passage. Jack also gives him the advice that every man gets his chance to be his own kind of hero. In the larger meta-story of Farscape, the ancient alien that Crichton meets in a human reaction becomes a kind of mentor, and supplies another supernatural aid, the wormhole knowledge, which originally begins as a boon. The ring also appears in a human reaction. Again, ancient Jack gives John the ring to restore Crichton on his path, since at this point he still needs that ring. The wormhole knowledge serves as a kind of supernatural aid in the larger meta-story, since it is the key for Crichton to get back home. But the knowledge is hidden to him, given only to guide him. He hasn't earned the right to the knowledge yet. Both the ring and the wormhole knowledge, and the mentors who gave them, are important and return later in the series. Jack and Ancient Jack, as threshold guardians, protect the doorway to the next field of magnified power. The threshold guardian stands on the limits of the hero's present sphere. Beyond the threshold lie unknown dangers, darkness, and the end of the parental watch over the child. There is both a protective and a dangerous aspect to the threshold guardian. One does not challenge this watcher of the established bounds, although the protagonist must advance past the threshold guardian, and possibly provoke the destructive power in order to pass into the new zone of experience. Fortified with his amulet or spiritual aid, the protagonist will cross the first threshold. He walks alone in the new world and enters a dangerous place. This happens again and again in Season 1. The first threshold, of course, is crossing through the wormhole and into the belly of the whale, Moya. Other examples of crossing the threshold occur when Crichton gets separated from Aaron and Dargo in IET, or when he gets lured alone to the edge of town and into Maldus's game. And in Jeremiah Crichton, John is apparently abandoned alone as well. Another important threshold is crossed when Crichton is lured to leave Moya and venture alone into the wormhole in a human reaction. Remember how Ancient Jack calls Crichton? He lures him with a wormhole. This is another call to adventure that Crichton at first is reluctant to take, until Dargo, an ally, boosts his courage to cross the threshold alone.
Crichton.
Yeah, Dargo.
I understand the fear. But if you don't do this now, you will regret it forever. You must go now. Do it, John.
Thanks, big guy.
Armed with his father's ring wrapped around his joystick, John plunges into the wormhole. Whoa, symbolism! This episode encapsulates the three major monomyth elements: departure, initiation, and return. The Ancient Jack then puts Crichton through a series of trials as an initiation on a simulated Earth. In the simulated test, Crichton gets to return to Earth, bringing with him the boon, the knowledge that he found alien life. Crichton thinks he's bringing his alien friends back and integrating them on Earth, but he fails. His message is misunderstood, and Rigel, Dargo, and Aaron all get lost in his trials. Ancient Jack learns that humans will not accept his species, and he must keep looking for a new home. Crichton passes Ancient Jack's test, though, as he is loyal to his friends and ideals, so he gets a secret boon, the unconscious wormhole knowledge. The Ancient also returns the ring to John, which he still needs to continue his journey. In the larger meta-story, Season 1 has a few other important thresholds. When Crichton assumes the guise of a peacekeeper and kills, the first time unintentionally, but later he kills Larac with full intention, taking another life as peacekeepers do, changing Crichton forever. Another important threshold is when he plays the Maldus game, facing many dangerous trials against Crace. The third threshold is crossed when John answers the call to adventure to get healing elixir for Aaron on the Gamic base. He again assumes the peacekeeper guise and goes right into the darkest place he can imagine, a Gamic base full of peacekeepers. When Jelena sees Crichton, he's a changed man. We see the toll the journey has taken on John thus far. He is not even tempted by Jelena, but loyal and committed only to helping Aaron. Once the protagonist crosses the threshold, he enters the belly of the whale. The hero is swallowed into the unknown and can appear to die. Crossing the threshold is a physical crossing, and the belly of the whale is a disappearance into the inner world. The first belly of the whale moment happens in Premiere, when Crichton is pulled into the Leviathan Moya. Another is when he descends into the depths of the Gamic base, a dark center of the Peacekeepers. Would that be a dark, creamy center by any chance?
Your masquerade as a peacekeeper fooled four battle-weary commandos briefly.
Infiltrating a top-secret Ganak base is quite another matter, though, John.
If he's found out, we're all put at risk.
Will Moya be able to get us out of here with our pregnancy so far advanced?
So what are we saying here? We do nothing? We let Aaron die?
I do not want Aaron to die.
Nor do I.
Well, you could have fooled me.
Crossing the threshold, the protagonist moves from the Phase 1, departure, and firmly into Phase 2, initiation. Now things turn grim.
They spit fire? How come nobody tells me this stuff? How come nobody tells me they spit fire? Aaron!
In the next installment, we discuss what happens in the belly of the whale, in Stage 2, Initiation. I'm Hank Schiffman for the ScapeCast.
I really like that segment, Kevin. And, you know, the first impressions that you can have of John when I'm busy scaping some people now and they're actually paying attention is they tell me that they think that John's really an idiot. And I guess sometimes he does things that's pretty idiotic, and I never really thought about it that way, but he does grow as the seasons go on.
Yeah, that's a good part of the fun, though, is for anyone who doesn't know a lot about the series. If you just start out blind in that first season, it's the ability to be able to very much empathize with him, because you can think, gee, I might be like that if I got stuck in that situation. He's not some automatic hero who's perfect at everything. So it's a lot of fun to see that and to see the growth, too, that does take place. I'm really looking forward to hearing more from Wendy in that second part of the article.
Yeah, that'll be great. And that'll be coming up on a future episode of the ScapeCast.
Hi, guys. It's Gigi here. I just wanted to say hello, and if you want to keep an eye on me and up-and-coming projects, you can find me through peachtreeservices.net or gigiedgley.com, and there's lots of exciting productions in the making at present, so come and find me. Have a great day.
Hey, wait, I got a couple of questions.
Couple of 1,000 more questions.
Question of the week.
This week's question is, what is your favorite Rigel moment?
Hi, this is Jen, also known as Charmscaper. You can find me at the Frell Me Dead forums, and I'm answering the question number 10. My favorite Rigel moment would have to be in the Liars, Guns, and Money trilogy when he glides into the room and he's swinging his head around. Thanks, bye.
Jersey Girl posts, I especially like Rigel when his guard is down or when he's not posturing. He shows everything from self-doubt to steely resolve. I love him dealing with Scorpion I yench you yench. First they're adversaries, then they're allies. But Rigel doesn't let anything distract him from the business at hand. I also love when he's been betrayed by Orrin in Fractures, and he says to John, I refuse to be taken to task for my trusting nature. Of course it was his ego and his libido, not his trusting nature, that got him into trouble, but it strips him of his usual sense of importance. Yes, for me, the best Rigel moments are the ones when he is the most genuine.
Jarek posts, I appreciate Rigel's sarcasm, his ability to look down on anyone, and his range of insults, especially when aimed at Zan and Chiana. Although, as time passes, it is shown that those insults were tinged with respect, and even friendship. Actually, picking out specific moments is a little difficult. But perhaps the one that does show that, despite being Dominar to billions, he is just as selfless and tactless as any character we meet while traveling on Moya. That old black magic from Season 1 has John lying dead on Moya, when he's actually fighting Maldus and Krace down on the planet. Meanwhile, Rigel is hovering over John's body, eyeing up his possessions, which, by Rigel's traditions, he can nab for himself. The words he says over the corpse are both moving and funny, and sum up Rigel beautifully.
John Crichton, valued friend. Now wait a minute. Valued friend is a bit of a stretch. John Crichton, unwelcome shipmate. May you have safe transport to the hallowed realm. Actually, not our hallowed realm. No, that's for Hynerians. Go find your own hallowed realm. With the ceremony of passage complete, I declare you officially dead and claim all your possessions for myself.
My favorite Rigel moment? I have lots. In Out of Their Minds, when Aaron in Rigel's body says, I told you, you all say I'm paranoid, but it's true. No one ever felling listens to me. Or in Self-Inflicted Wounds, Wait for the Wheel, when he says to Zan, goodbye, you big, beautiful blue bitch. But for me, I think the best Rigel moment occurs in Dog with Two Bones. Chiana is trying to eulogize Talon. It was painful to listen to her. She was hurting herself as well as those listening when Rigel broke in with, Talon was special, a joy to his mother and a credit to his species, both of them. With fondness, we lay Talon, offspring of Moya, to rest in his sacred ground. That little speech brings a lump to my throat every time. Rigel had some distinctly antisocial characteristics, but he really understood people. For the ScapeCast, this is Nicola Wood.
Question of the week.
Well, Lindy, for the Rigel moment for me, I can visualize which one it was, but I'm not remembering exactly which episode. Maybe you or the other escapists can kind of fill me in. It's the one where we have Rigel in the diner, and Scorpius is there and everyone, and he's acting as negotiating. They've got those, they end up putting, I think it's Braca and Dargo in those bracelets where they can each feel what happens to the other.
Oh, the Yench bracelets. I Yench, you Yench. It's the one right before they board the command carrier.
Yeah, I like the way that Rigel definitely stepped up and became the point. Instead of being the guy in the background or the comic relief to a certain degree, he was doing a lot of the work there with Scorpius and everything. I really, that was one of my favorite ones along with many others. I just like the fact that Rigel got to be actually in control, even though we always thought he was.
He ends up, being the Dominar. He does seem to know how to negotiate and do things like that, which I do like Rigel a lot. And one of my favorite moments is when he's in the episode where... oh gosh, and now I can't remember the name. I know all of you listeners thinks that we know every name of every episode, but you know what? We don't.
Shh, don't go giving it away.
I'm sorry. I just
now we really do.
It.
Now we really do look like John.
Yeah, now we all are idiots. Okay. But in season 1, where John ends up on the planet and Rigel comes down and they recognize him as the deity, I really like that whole segment.
Yes.
Yeah. Where he has the girls bringing him food, because he always has to eat.
Yes.
But again, in the end, he does rise up and explain to them that it was a mistake and that, he's really not their god. I mean, he really does rise to the occasion when it becomes important to help people get on with their lives.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop him from enjoying being the king of the parade or the pharaoh or whatever, too.
No.
I mean, let's face it, he does love those moments.
Yeah. That and the Halloween candy scene where,
where
he tries to figure out how sugar could possibly be legal.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that one. It was very funny. Yes. Crack, like it's crack. Yeah. Here it goes. Our next question for everyone is, how do you use Farscape words in real life? So please share your answers with us, whether voicemail or on the forums or to us in email. We'd love to hear how you're using Farscape words in your regular vocabulary.
Hi, Mr. Hoople.
Well, hello there, Ema. What can I do for you today? I'm afraid I'm still all out of black eyeliner.
Oh, I'm not sure what to do, Mr. Hoople. My mother told me that those ScapeCast people were wrong about my name and that I should tell them. But I can't find them anywhere. Can you help me find them, Mr. Hoople?
Sure, Ema. Now let's see. If we go to their website at ScapeCast.org... Oh, darn, dial-up takes forever. You always have to wait. Here we go. It looks like they have several ways that you can talk to them, Ema. You can send them an email at feedback@scapecast.org or call their voicemail line at area code 206-350-6692. Oh, and if you have a microphone, you can even click on this button on their website that says, Talk to Us Now.
Thanks, Mr. Hoople. Do you sell microphones?
I'm afraid not, Ema.
Oh, well, I'll just have to send them an email then. Goodbye.
Bye now.
Welcome back. I've got the answer to your trivia question. I played this line.
Nice pants.
And I asked you to guess what was coming next. Well, here it is.
Hey, Braca. You look a little lost.
Does Mummy know you're here?
Does Mummy know he's Scorpius's boy? Oh, no, Mummy doesn't know.
Did you get it? Good job. For the ScapeCast, I'm Brent Barrett.
Hi ho, this is Hermie the Henarian, your KUCT field reporter, calling in from the payphone since somebody has searched my microphone. And coincidentally, this episode was brought to you by the word snurch.
Well, this has been another great episode of the ScapeCast, and I have to say that I was so excited to hear that the Hensons are putting together a podcast, and I use iTunes to subscribe to podcasts, so I'm going to make sure that it's on my list of things to download and listen to this week.
Yeah, it's great to see more and more both companies and studios and everything else coming out with their own podcasts, so we all get some more inside info on these things. So that was really cool to see them embracing that concept and joining us. It's nice to know they're going to join us here.
They're going to join us, and I know we'll all be listening every week, waiting for them to say that magic word, Farscape, 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 Farscape. Please
we
say
all
it,
have
please
dreams.
say it.
So along with that, it was also great. Kudos to Sammy for that great interview with David. It was great to hear him talk about things. I know that we're going to have another interview coming up on our next episode. A certain someone that the guys might greatly enjoy hearing from Gigi Edgley.
That's right.
Who's usually never short on something to say, so we're looking forward to that one.
Well, and I really agree with that about her never being short of something to say. We listened to her in Timeless Destinations during her sessions. She's really fun. She does have a lot to talk about, and she likes to talk about sex, too.
Yes, I've noticed that in many of the commentaries.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. And I can't wait to hear more about that guy, John Crichton, from season 1. He has really changed over the 4 years, so I can't wait to hear Wendy's part 2.
Yeah, and in upcoming episodes, looking ahead, we're also going to naturally have more of those character reviews, and I see one coming together now, too, for Stark, which will be great to start to hear things from his, shall we say, twisted point of view.
Yep, he sure is. And speaking of twisted, Kevin...
Oh, thanks. Nice segue.
Yeah, nice segue. You're not going to be here next episode for the ScapeCast.
No, I will be, when we go to record that, I will be, along with Kurt, down in Atlanta for DragonCon, the big sci-fi convention. Looking forward to that. I know we're going to have Virginia Hayes down there. I'm looking forward to meeting her and seeing some of her sessions and all kinds of other great stuff. So we're going to have Kim, since she wants to take over the podcast, coming back in. Only this time she'll get to do it from my seat. So that should be some fun. Looking forward to hearing the two of you have lots to talk about there.
Yeah, we're actually during the ScapeCast, we're actually going to talk about our adventures at Comic-Con, because Kim and I were at Comic-Con at the end of July, and that was really an interesting cultural experience for me.
Yes. Yeah, that and DragonCon, tens of thousands of people. It can be quite an eye-opening experience. One other thing, hopefully all the Scapers and our listeners will be thinking positive thoughts there during that Labor Day weekend, because we've got the Parsec Awards there at DragonCon for the Excellence in Sci-Fi Podcasting, where we were nominated for Best Fan Podcast. So everyone keep their fingers crossed. Kurt and I will be there hoping we might be able to win that award. We're up against some pretty stiff competition, but it'll be great just to see what happens.
Yeah, of course, it's always an honor to just be nominated, but it'd be certainly nice to fight over the award and figure out who gets to keep it at their house.
Hell yes.
Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining us on the ScapeCast as we continue our journey. I'm Lindy.
And I'm Kevin. And now it's time to disable your comms and find new wonders. Until next time.
This is John Crichton. Somewhere in the universe.
You've been listening to the ScapeCast, Episode 10, produced August 2006. Writers for this episode were Lindy Ray, Kevin Batchelder, Nicola Wood, Kurt Armbruster, Brent Barrett, Kelly Morris, and Wendy Hembrock. This episode featured voice performances by
Kevin Batchelder,
Lindy Ray, Wendy Hembrock,
Kurt Armbruster,
Kimberly Thompson,
Brent Barrett,
Sammy Moore,
Hank Schiffman,
Nicola Wood.
Armed with his father's ring wrapped around his joystick. Do you really want me to say that?
For the entire ScapeCast crew, I'm Brent Barrett. Thank you for listening and fly safe.